to the Joe Cortez Healthcare Talk Show here in Las Vegas, Nevada. And today we're going to have my dear guest, my co-host, Virginia Pacheco, who will be talking to us a little bit about astrology and a little bit about healthcare, because things are going bad around the country. Like today, for example, I'll tell you that I offer my condolences to Officer Rivera and Officer Mora in New York City. And it was going on. These two fighters, they were fighters in my book, because they were out there to try to help out in the city. But I think that the city has to be, the government there has to be a little bit more lenient when it comes to the laws. I mean, things are not as hard as they should be. They let these guys off the hook too easy, and that's why we have all these killings, not only in New York, but around the whole country. Anyway, Virginia, I want to welcome you to the show again today.
Oh, thank you for having me. I love being here with you, Joe.
Okay, great. And I want you to tell us a little bit about, talking about these crimes that was going on around the country, around the cities, even here in Nevada. I mean, what advice can you give the parents? What do you think the parents should be doing with their children?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, and it's so unfortunate what's happened in New York. And we've talked before about depression, about people and their actions, and I really feel like it stems from the childhood, because these kids are not getting the tools they need early on in life. It goes unnoticed, which turns into fear, which turns into anger, and then we have situations like in New York. So, what I do as a coach, as a spiritual coach, I use specific tools to help the parents understand each individual child so that their needs are getting met. Because when we are born, we all have innate needs that we're born with. And sometimes parents are working more towards meeting their own needs through the child versus paying attention to what the child's specific needs are. So what I like to do is help people with the tools that I have, like astrology, like spirituality, like human design, to actually design and craft a plan for each individual child so their needs are met, and we don't have a bunch of adults running around angry and pissed off and misbehaving, basically.
Yeah. I know you have good tools for the parents, these young adults today. They themselves have not really been brought up the right way, so they need a little bit of guidance, a little direction, how to do it the right way. And what kind of tools do you think they should be working on to make them a little bit better parents?
Well, I think for one thing, why I picked my business name, Awareness Coaching, is the parents have to become aware of where is their own childhood conditioning creating a pattern for themselves, because they're acting out based on what their parents did. And then we have this perpetual cycle of bad behavior because the parents did what they wanted to do versus what the child wanted to do. So I try to help the parents really tailor their message for the tempo of the child, and then become aware themselves of what they're doing and what they're experiencing.
Yeah, now, you got a lot of the parents, they mean well.
They sure do.
They mean well, but sometimes they go off track. I mean, they get caught up in the environment with their friends, going out, having parties. Then they start a little bit of drinking. You're not thinking straight. Then you come home and you have your children there. Either they have babysitters or you pick them up, you bring them home, and if things are not going right, then you start overreacting with them, and you do the wrong way about the way you punish them. I know you call timeout. What is really timeout for these kids? I mean, what do you say when you put them on, all right, you're not behaving well, you have to do this. This way we're going to do it. Is there any particular ways to do it with enforcing your rules at home, but at the same token, be kind about it?
Totally. Well, okay, there's two things about what you said that I find interesting. For one, when they're going out drinking, it's because they've ignored their own problems and they don't want to deal with them, so they're trying to anesthetize the feeling that they're having. So they have to internally work themselves to straighten that out before they can even discipline the child correctly. Look, that's one issue. The second issue is that I don't personally believe, yes, there has to be house rules, but I think we have to know how to deliver those house rules to each child in particular. Meaning, this child is shy and quiet. They need harmony in order to have their needs met. You don't want to yell at that child. Then you have another child that actually has a lot of fire. They're very passionate. Maybe you want to speak in that tone to that child because they'll hear that message directly. Yes, you can have house rules, but what I feel it could really help people is learning the language of each child so they hear the message. Because right now, parents are just throwing universal things at the kids, and maybe it's not in the right language for them.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, back in my days growing up,
Mine too.
It was the belt or the broomstick.
Or the spoon, for
You know,
sure.
because I mean, it was not. I mean, we kind of took it a little bit more serious back then. Now, if you overreact with the kids, you whip them with a belt or something like that.
You're in trouble.
you're in
CPS
trouble.
knocks on the door for sure.
That's it.
And we don't want that.
Yeah, they're saying they're taking your kids away from you because you're doing the wrong thing with the kids. You got to discipline them in a way where they will learn to follow the rules at home, but there's certain ways of doing it.
So I would like for them to start thinking versus reacting, because if they put some thought into this structure versus they get triggered, they get angry themselves, then they yell at the child, right? So I feel like we have to slow down a little bit, right? We have to literally stop and think and go inward instead of just reacting. And I know that sounds easier said than done. We all have busy lives, but if you're not taking care of you first, it's going to show up outside of you, and your kids are a reflection of that.
And as you say, take care of you first. You have to love yourself.
100%.
And care for yourself and do the right things in order for you to be an example, to be a good role model for your children and those around you,
I completely agree.
Now, tell me a little bit. I'm a Libra.
Okay.
Again, there's Libras. I mean, I'm an easygoing guy.
Sure.
I mean, I am. I know I am.
Yeah.
And that's the way, best for me. That's the best way to be. But not everybody's a Libra.
Yeah.
What advice can you give the other folks out there to do it the right way?
So one tip, I love this book, Astrology for Yourself. This is actually one tool that I give to my clients to help them learn themselves first, because there's much more to your astrology than just your sun sign. And I think people don't understand themselves. So Astrology for Yourself is a great way to start. And it's a tool that I give my clients to help them understand their internal life, because you being a Libra is how you show up out here. You like to be dressed nice. You like to present yourself well on camera, but inside you, there's more. And so if you don't ask your kids what's more in there, you're really only talking to them in one way. So what I'm suggesting is go deeper. Get to know your kids past their sun sign. And if you're not into astrology, that's okay. Ask your kids questions. Start getting curious to find out who they are on the inside, and use that as a tool to speak to them in the way they can hear you better.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think that what you're telling our viewers out there is something very informative. I think that we all have a lot to learn. I don't care how good you are.
100%.
You can always learn more. And then your book, Learning About Yourself, astrology is something very important. I never really took it serious, but since I've met you and I've been reading a little bit, I've been seeing that sometimes it's good to look at all different. Don't only think your way. Think out the box,
And it's totally my passion, and if it's not yours, I understand, but what astrology can do is bring up the right questions. So even if it's not your thing, it will get you thinking, it will get you identifying your children as unique beings, not as, yes, they're all your children, but they all function differently. So whatever you're into is fine. That's one of my tools. I use human design, I use spirituality. Like, it's a mix of a lot of things, but the most important thing is to start asking the right questions.
Now, when you talk to your family members and your friends about astrology, how do they feel about, how do they take it? Are they taking it on the positive side, or they kind of like shy away from it? What do you tell them to try to keep them to believe in it?
You know what? I don't try to convince anybody to believe in anything. Some of them receive it well, some of them don't. I'm not here to force it on anyone. So myself personally, I sometimes try to make sure I'm using the English language and not just astrology language, so that I can translate it for them, because that is my job. You don't have to believe in astrology, but allow me to translate for you what I know to be true, because astrology's been around for thousands of years. And what people don't realize, it's more mathematical than anything. It's about cycles. It's about things repeating themselves, and someone documented this. It's not magic. It's literally the planets are up there, and they've been moving around for way longer than us.
So they're moving around longer than us. What are the stars? How they lined up today? There's so much going on around the world right now. Not too many good things. with Russia, with China.
I agree.
You know,
I
with
agree.
North Korea.
Yeah.
It's the whole country is a little bit like shook up and
Sure.
worry about what may happen.
Yeah.
What do you see in the stars?
So I just did a 2022 forecast, and yes, you're correct. There is going to continue to be chaos. And astrologically speaking, there's two nodes that just came into play January 18th. They'll be there the next 18 months. So my suggestion is go inward. Stop looking for your safety outside yourself, in the government, in what's going on in the world, and look inwards to find out what's true for you. Because there will be no stability the next year in the world. Anyways, the only stable thing you can find is your own perspective and what you believe in. So what I tell people is, yeah, we're still got some chaos going on in 2022. Your antidote, your solution is to go inward, to get back to nature, to start simplifying your life. We've gotten so complicated, we're forgetting the basics. So let the government do what it's going to do. We can't control everything and everyone, but what we can control is ourselves and our perspective about what's going on. So don't allow it to make you angry. Go inward, because the craziness is still around a little longer.
Yeah, it's true. People are going crazy with what's going on.
Yeah, they are.
You put on different networks, and you hear different stories. And I kind of hate politics because of what's going on. You hear one side, then you hear the other, then you get mixed up. You don't know what's really going on.
100%.
But I think that we, like you said, we have to look inside ourselves, see how we can try to resolve some of these situations on our own sometimes by just saying, you know, I can think a little bit more positive and don't make it worse than what it is.
For sure, thinking positive is a brilliant thing to do, but I also think getting in alignment with yourself, because the government's telling us one thing, then we're getting confused. So find out what's true for you. Not only think positive, get straight. Like, is this working for me? Yes or no? Because I think we've been led to be sheep for a little while, and now it's getting disruptive, and people don't want to just listen to what they're telling us. So if we're not going to listen to them, then we have to get straight in what we do believe.
Yeah, I think that we have to really start looking at ourselves in the mirror and start thinking a little deeper about what we're going to do with our lives.
100%.
You know, because I think that is the more we think about it, but without worrying too much about it, but just think about it, be rational about what things. Think of things. Say to yourself, you know, I can do this a certain way, but I'm not going to get overexcited. I'm not going to get over worried about something. I just want to try to make it the best for me and for those around me, but especially the children, because children they look up to you.
100%.
You know, and they start asking you questions, and you got to be prepared to give them the right answers.
I agree with you, and being in tune with them and understanding that they also have their own feelings and their own truths and their own alignment, even if they're young. So if you're straight with you, you help them get straight with themselves, then we can communicate better.
Right. Yeah,
which is the goal.
It is a goal. I think it's something that I know when I first got married, my dream was to bring up a beautiful family. And I was blessed with 3 beautiful girls. And we have ups and downs as far as health issues are concerned.
Sure.
You know, I have a daughter who's a quadriplegic from an auto accident 21 years ago. And she's the toughest person I've ever met. She's an inspiration. I know when I came down with COVID, I was in the hospital for those 5 months. I would have a picture with me every day. I would look at it, and she would inspire me to keep going forward, because that girl never complained about anything. My daughter Cindy never complained. She drives, she picks me up.
Amazing.
She takes me to rehab. She goes shopping by herself. Sometimes she has me to go with her. But and I love going with her because, I mean, she can drive really good.
Yeah.
So I tell Cindy, you kind of drive a little bit. She said, Daddy, I'm not afraid to drive. She said, I let that go years ago. You know, I couldn't live with that. If they having an accident, I may be paralyzed from the neck down, but she drives. She does it. How does she do it? But we got her a special car that she's got adapted for her.
Sure.
But she can do anything. And she's really an inspiration.
See, because she knows herself.
Right.
And I love you talking about that. And what I think some parents forget is that kids are an inspiration. They're childlike, and we have something to learn from them.
Right.
We're always trying to teach them, but they're really teaching us things.
Right. But tell you, she taught me a lot.
Sure.
Because of her inspiration and her willingness to go forward. She never looks back. She's always positive about everything and always giving good advice for everybody.
And talk about a shift in perspective. Here's someone who can't move from the neck down. She had two choices.
Right.
She can think, my life stinks, I hate this, I want to kill myself, or I'm going to accept what's happened to me and I'm going to look at life through my own glasses. And that's what we're all faced with.
Yeah.
Some of us just choose not to look positive. So good on her for doing that, because that's a huge choice for her that she
Let me tell
made.
you, when I first saw her at the hospital in San Bernardino in California, where she had the accident, I flew in from Chicago, and I went to see her. And the same night, when she was in the hospital laying in that bed, when I got there, she said, "Daddy," she could move her arms a little bit. She said, "Daddy, I'm a fighter. Don't worry."
Wow.
You know, she was an X-ray technician, so she knew what she had already.
Oh.
She already knew, but she accepted it right away. She's just a person that's strong. Mentally, she's just like unbelievable. And she works out. She does her works out every day.
Wow.
Exercise. I mean, she's always active. I mean, she's always focused and always thinking positive.
I love it. What's her birthday?
Cindy.
What's her birthday?
Her birthday, October 31st.
October,
She was
so
born
Scorpio.
Halloween. She was born Halloween. I call her my little witch.
I love it. I love it. Scorpios are strong. They're tough. They're fixed. They're determined.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can see how that plays out. That's awesome.
And she's a beauty. I tell her, you got the face of the most beautiful model in the world. Cindy, she is just gorgeous.
I love it. Well, good for her.
Always put a beautiful smile on her face.
We have something to learn from Cindy for sure, because we complain about small struggles.
Exactly.
We didn't get a parking spot, or my hair didn't come out right, and here she is just making the best out of life. So
Yeah, sometimes my hair doesn't come out right neither. I mean, it doesn't come out at all.
I do. I walked into that one. For sure.
Yeah, but I tell you, tell us a little bit more about parents and doing the right things.
Well, okay, this is what I would like to tell parents. We want them to be self-sufficient, right? So we have some tools or some ideas. I'm just going to throw out a couple that what I feel like kids need these days in order to be more self-sufficient, sorry about that, and fulfilling. So unstructured play. We've become so rule-oriented that we don't give them enough time to just be unstructured and play around, and it doesn't have to have a plan.
Right.
That's one. Getting them out in nature more, so they're breathing the air and they're not on their computer. They're not getting like brain dead on their iPad. I think that's another huge one. Stop for a minute and give them a hug.
Yeah.
I think they need hugs.
And believe in goodness.
Believe in goodness and simplicity. That's a thing about this year. Keep things simple. They don't have to be so overly dramatic, because if they're simplified, they're not always expecting what's more, what's next, I'm bored. Like, just try to keep things simple.
Keeping the rhythms and rituals.
Exactly, getting them on a rhythm, getting them in a ritual, getting them in the habit of doing something like, all the time that feels good for them. It doesn't have to be at 6 o'clock every day, but it's ritualistic in nature.
Yeah, how about express gratitude for who they are?
Yeah, I think that parents should, like, instead of us trying to help them be what we want them to be, how about we thank them for being who they are and allowing them to flourish how they are, not how we see them or how we want them to be. So I think expressing...
And to have a shoulder they can cry on?
Oh, that's right. I think allowing them to cry, like, okay, you helped me out. Boys, when they're younger, don't cry, you're a man, don't cry. Like, is that really serving the boys any longer?
Yeah.
I mean, what's your thought on that?
Well, I'll tell you, crying doesn't hurt. I mean, sometimes crying is it's a good thing.
I think it's a good thing too.
I mean, I think we all cry for one reason or another, either happiness or sadness.
Right.
You know.
It's just the ability to allow them to express themselves so they're not repressed, and then they don't turn out like the angry people with guns.
Yeah. And of course, being around a calm environment
That helps
a lot, doesn't it?
Absolutely. In this society today, we have so much noise. The TV's on. How about stillness? Creating a space that's sacred for you and for your child to literally have a moment, because whatever your faith is, they can't scream, so we need to be still so we can hear the messages. So helping your children create small, sacred, quiet spaces is very important.
How about when somebody may be going through some difficult time and it's too quiet in there, anything that you can throw off so they can try to forget about the tough time they're going at the particular moment?
Yeah, I think a lot of people fear meditation, but what I tell people is active meditation. There's ways to walk outside and meditate, walking in a circle to meditate. I would say get yourself up and moving and distract yourself from the obsessive thoughts that you're having. and go be creative. Go do what you love for a minute and put the problem down. I promise you, it'll be there when you get back.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to try walking around in circles because then my family think I'm going cuckoo.
It's not for everyone. That's why we have to tailor the tool for the person, because we're not all built the same. Some people can sit still. Some people like walking in a circle.
Maybe I'll walk around the block.
Okay, I love it.
Not in a circle, but around the block.
I'm not here to determine the size of your circle. If you want to go walk around the block, feel free, because that's you.
Yeah, exactly.
You need variety, probably. You need scenery. You need beautiful things. That helps.
Yeah, it helps. It depends how's your
Yeah.
head, how's your thinking.
Yeah.
You know, I like taking long drives.
Yeah.
Going up to the mountains. You know, here in Vegas, I mean, the city kind of hard to go to the mountain, but here out in the Midwest, you got a lot of mountains, and we're able to, here in Vegas, go up to Mount Charleston, go up to Red
100%.
Rock, take a ride around, or go down the strip for a ride and see that, especially if you go at nighttime, you see all the beautiful lights. It's nice, you know. But I think that here in Las Vegas is they call it Sin City for a reason. There's a lot of things that are going on that are maybe
100%.
not too good, 100%.
100% not too good.
And what do you tell the people who live in a city like this, New York, Chicago, San Francisco, cities where there's a lot of activities going on? What do you tell the people how they should carry themselves?
I would say one tool is that you can walk away. When there's a situation you don't like, it's uncomfortable, you don't have to stay there. You don't have to people please, you don't have to stay in the argument. I would say own your power and walk away from anything that's negative and doesn't feel good. Even if that's I walk into a restaurant and this place, the vibe doesn't feel good for me, walk out. Like some people are ashamed, you know, oh, well, we already walked in or I can't leave. No, you can walk away from any situation that does not feel good to you.
I agree with you on that. You know, I mean, if you walk into a place and the environment is not good, whether it's a party or you go to a place with a group of people that you don't feel the vibes are not good, turn around, walk back out.
Walk right back out.
That's it.
So I think in that moment, if I were to give someone a tool, it would be stop and ask yourself, just because they get stuck in shoulds. Well, I shouldn't walk out. I can't walk out. Does this feel good to me? And if it does, then you go with it.
Well, does that also go for a relationship?
100%. Yeah, and I think
you don't feel good about it.
Yep.
Let's see, turn around,
100%
walk out,
and walk out.
and forget about it.
Right. And maybe forget about some of the rules that we were, you know, impressed upon us with the shoulds, I have tos. You don't have to do anything. You really get to choose what you want to do.
Yeah.
Not when you're 2 years old, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, sure. I think that as we get older, we learn a lot, you know, and I like to share my knowledge and wisdom with individuals of the little that I know. But I'm just sharing my experiences that I've gone through, and I like to share them. I know I'm not the best at it, but that's why I have you on the show. To have individuals to learn from people like Virginia,
Well, thank you.
Who are professionals.
I appreciate it. I try to give people tools to help them do that.
If somebody wants to reach out to you, how can they get you?
I would say email me, awarenesscoaching33@gmail.com. You can find me on Instagram at awarenesscoaching33. I'm on Instagram. Yeah, you can call me, 702-501-1640. Feel free.
Good. That's good because a lot of folks out there do need some help. They don't know what's the first step to take. And my advice for them is take the first step is follow Virginia's advice and call her, make contact with her, who can guide you in the right direction. I know that I come from a wonderful family. Your father and I come from more or less around the same neighborhood in New York. And it was, I haven't met him yet, but I'd love to meet him one day.
Yeah.
Because he seems like my kind of guy.
He would be your kind of guy. He's very funny.
Yeah, more or less the same age and kind of funny. And he's a tough one, I'm sure.
Oh, he's a tough guy, definitely.
How was he as a dad?
You know, he was definitely a tough dad, and he definitely was very fast-paced. He's very assertive, very New York, you know, and so I love him for that. For me, my pace is a little slower, so I've had to learn as I've gotten older what's my pace versus my dad's pace. Wow. But he's a fun guy, no doubt. Everybody loves my dad.
From up on 116th Street up on First Avenue, and I was on 99th Street Park in Madison. And I used to go to the Boys Club where I was doing my boxing back in the day, Jefferson Park branch, and it was a good experience. So when she told me that, when you told me that your father was from our neighborhood, I already felt something we had in common just because of your dad's relationship.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I adore him too.
Yeah. And your mom, how's your mom doing?
My mom is doing wonderful. My mom and my dad, they're a comedy hour of the both of them.
Really?
So yeah, my mom was super supportive. I always felt loved growing up. So that was definitely helpful.
As a parent, was she kind of tough?
Yeah, actually, my mom's got Capricorn qualities, so she liked to have a lot of rules.
Yeah.
So she definitely taught us boundaries, which I think is very important.
Okay. Now, you have any children of your own?
I don't have children, but I have a passion to support people with children. I didn't have any of my own, but I've definitely learned through all of my friends, that it's important to catch it early on. Catch them before the habit starts. Before some of these psychosis type things can cause depression, let's catch them young and give them what they need to flourish.
Yeah, sometimes you get individuals, kids that are going through some difficult times, and they run away from home. I was watching a show last night with Steve Harvey, who was talking about an individual who became an artist, but he said he ran away when he was 6 years old, the guest on the show. And of course, Steve Harvey right away starts wiping those tears from his eye, because he's bringing back things. Said he ran away again when he was 9 years old, ran away when he was 16. But in between, he would go to juvenile detention homes. And it's sad to see that. But then he got his life together with his artwork, and he got to be with the right folks, and things turn around. Sometimes you have to make the negatives turn them into positive. If you have talent, use it. Do something with it. Don't let it go to waste.
Yeah.
You're talented in your own field, in your own ways. And I couldn't do nothing but fight. My thing was fighting, so that was my talent, how to defend myself.
Sure.
So I tried to do the best I could back then to keep myself out of trouble. It got me on the right track to the person that I am today. So that boxing, the hurt business, did help me a lot. And here we are today talking about how we can help other individuals out there. The thing is to pay it forward.
And you're fighting for wellness right now,
exactly.
right? I'm sure a lot of those boxers came from those kind of backgrounds.
Exactly.
And so mental wellness is an important thing along with physical fitness.
Exactly. See Mike Tyson, you hear his stories,
Oh.
and you sit down and you listen to him, you say, wow, what he went through. It's a miracle he's still alive today. But now he's out there teaching other individuals to stay on the right track, to do the right things in life, to make you a better person. And that's what a lot of individuals are doing today, or a lot more should be doing, is going out there, going into your community, get involved with the youngsters out there, put them on the right track, give them some good advice. If they need a little push, help them, open some doors for them. I love doing that for individuals. I love opening doors.
I do too. I mean, the way I do it is with questioning and understanding and spirituality. The way you do it is being out in this community on a broader spectrum. We need each other is the moral of that story.
Yeah, I think that helping each other out is so important, because there's too many things going wrong in this country, in the world, not only in this country, all over the world. Things are not going right, and we have to start making some changes, because, what's going on right now is kind of sad. We got to get something going. The magical word for that would be love, happiness, caring, loving. You have to make things change.
For sure. And just so you know, things will change. We're in an ending phase astrologically right now. So things are breaking down, but new things are on the horizon. So have faith in that. And love and community and collective love together is what's going to get us there. So be patient. I know things are chaotic right now, but better things are coming.
Yeah, you have to also be understanding.
Yes.
If you're not understanding, you're not going to get it. So you have to understand that you have to accept certain things in life in order to make changes. You just can't try sometimes keep going the same way you've been going your whole life. Make changes and be caring, loving, and ask God to help you if you need some help.
And find compassion for others, because people are going through things, and if they misbehave, have compassion that you don't know where they came from. You don't know why they're acting the way they do. So kindness and compassion together with understanding, I think, can heal a lot of what's going on.
Exactly. I'll tell you one thing, after what I went through last year with that COVID, being in the hospital for 5 months, I got to learn a lot. I've always been a compassionate individual, but I got to be a more of an understanding person since then, because you have to understand that you have to do things a little different, because God gave me an opportunity to come back, gave me a second chance. And I believe that whatever you believe in, that you have to make changes for a better life.
I agree with you.
Anything else you want to add on before we wrap it up for today?
No, just thank you for being here, and just know that I have full faith that we're going to go in the right direction, and that if everyone really aligns themselves with their own soul's purpose, the whole collective will be better. So do something for yourself so you can make the group feel better by you being better.
Yeah, well, you heard it there from Virginia, and I can tell you that we have to keep our guards up at all times. Get vaccinated, wear your mask. It's better to wear that mask. Keep 6 feet distance. It's better than being 6 feet under. So stay well, and we'll catch you next week. God bless. Keep your guards up at all times. Thank you, Virginia, for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.